let's have the fight next, man. If he gets past Goodman, do the Nakatani fight. There's no time to marinate it. There's no need for that. It's going to be the biggest fight possibly in Japan history.
Welcome, fight fans, to another edition of Boxing Scene's Top Stories, only on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. I am George D. Metellus. Quick reminder to download the ProBox TV app, where apps are available. And one of the beauties of downloading the app, ProBox TV, where apps are available, is you get to hear from our world champions, the tremendous trio we have here on Top Stories of Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi, and ESPN analyst, Hall of Famer Tim Bradley joining us here on Top Stories. Where Turki Alalshikh, the mastermind of Saudi Arabia's Riyadh season, has announced a union with the undisputed super-bantamweight champion Naoya Inoue that has a reported value of $19.7 million. Now, details of whether Inoue will fight in Saudi Arabia, the U.S., or elsewhere are not known yet. Inoue is preparing to exit the 122-pound division after his Christmas Eve title fight against Sam Goodman. Now, some of the potential opponents for major fights in this Riyadh season arrangement could include his fellow countryman, Inoue's fellow countryman, Junto Nakatani, super flyweight champion Jesse Bam Rodriguez, some featherweight title fights, and maybe, well down the line, mega fights against lightweight champions Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis. All right, Chris, what are the expectations that Inoue can take Riyadh season as the ambassador now, that sponsorship role that he has, and expand the Riyadh season reach to get into Asia? Because Turki Alalshikh has talked about going into China and other markets. What can Inoue do as the ambassador there?
Well, China's a massive market, so that's a smart move for the Riyadh season to try and reach out there. And in terms of Inoue's involvement, obviously there's some stipulations there. That it's not a fight promotional contract. It's more of an ambassadorship, which you actually see now Inoue making a little more movement lately. He's getting out of Japan. Recently, he got an award. He came to New York. He was he was ringside for a top ranked show. We saw photos with him with Canelo Alvarez, but now we're seeing him with Turki Alalshikh. So he's been a little bit on the road somewhat, trying to globalize his stardom, which is smart on his behalf. And listen, if a guy's throwing 19, 15, 18, 19, $20 million at you to be an ambassador, you're going to grab that bag. Not that Inoue is hurting for money by any means, and even him in his situation, he's able to make the fights and has been able to get the fights that are around him, the best fighters. He is the money man. He's in the driver's seat, and he wants all the smoke. So it's not like he needs Turki Alalshikh or Riyadh season in order to make those fights happen, because he's been doing it consistently. But listen, it's extra money. It's another way to get his face out there on a big platform. So I think it makes sense.
Yeah, Paulie, what do you make of this new role that Naoya Inoue has within Riyadh season?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty good partnership here. I'm not shocked. Turki Alalshikh a lot of times has targeted some of the biggest names in the sport. Only thing is PBC and Top Rank don't usually do a lot of business from what I've seen with Turki Alalshikh. I know Jared Anderson did have a fight on a Riyadh season card, so I can't say it's all the time, but I do think it may set back the ability to make the Nakatani fight since he's with Top Rank. But I could see, for example, if Inoue is moving to 126, a Nick Ball fight. Nick Ball is a fun fighter. He's a come-forward guy. He makes a lot of action fights. He's with Matchroom, who works, hand in hand with Turki Alalshikh. So I think, you're going to see a 126-pound move for Inoue where Alalshikh might be involved, and Inoue may fight in Riyadh. Who knows? Wouldn't surprise me, wouldn't shock me. But of course, there's no such thing as extra money. And if it's not hurting anyone, in this regard, I don't think it's hurting anyone. And Inoue makes this deal. I think, if anything, it's possible that, it opens up a lot of other options for him. That could be good. As far as Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson fights, I'll put it like this. You can't argue about fighters being on steroids and then make ridiculous comparisons like this. If you're going to talk like no weight classes exist, then when the next time somebody gets caught on steroids, don't dare make a comment, okay? Because either there are weight classes and they exist, and you're gonna talk about it in a respectful way, or we're gonna talk like there's no weight classes and then not be shocked when guys fail steroid tests. So I don't really care about Inoue versus Shakur and Inoue versus Davis. This guy just got dropped at 122 pounds. I think he's reaching his full potential at or around 126, 130. If he starts going up higher than that, just like I was suspicious with Pacquiao, I would start to get suspicious with this guy. But right now, he is looking great, and he's got all things going for him.
Yeah, Tim, I was going to ask you a question to piggyback off of Paulie there. That seems like 135 where Gervonta Shakur. That's a little too much there for Inoue, but 126, 130 is more reasonable. What's your take on that perspective?
Well, first he got to handle Sam Goodman.
Right.
He got to handle his business. That's not a for sure win. The Australian is coming to win. Trust me, he is. As far as Riyadh season goes, Riyadh season, you guys got to understand, it's more than just boxing. It's bigger than that. And the brand, yeah, it's way bigger. And Paulie, you said that you're not sure if they're working with Top Rank. Well, did you see Top Rank's mat? Did you see it over the weekend? There's a big ass Riyadh season right in the middle of the mat.
And that's why Tim is with us, the ESPN analyst, Tim Bradley. Make sure he puts me in check. Thanks, Tim.
They're working together in a sense. But, I mean, when you have somebody like Turki and Riyadh season want to throw you all that type of money, and I'm just let y'all know right now, the 19 million is absurd. That number is completely false. I'm an insider. Trust me. It's completely false. It wasn't that much money. I'm not going to give you the exact number, how much it was. However, it's because that's none of my business. But that 19 million is crazy. But when you have them wanting to give you money to wear shirts and be an ambassador, and, you know, if you really think about it, there's about 125 million people in Japan. You know, Inoue is one of the biggest faces in Japan and in sports. He's going to be advertising your brand. It only makes sense, man. Riyadh season is involved in just about every sport. They haven't gotten involved in basketball yet or football, American football. You know, I think those entities are trying to keep him away. But, I mean, as far as soccer goes, as far as horse racing goes, NASCAR, golf, table tennis. I mean, there's so much that they're getting involved in. They want Saudi Arabia to be the mecca of all sports. That's what they're trying to do. Boxing,
no pun intended.
A small sector of what Riyadh season is really about.
Yeah, definitely going to be very interesting to see what happens with Inoue. All right, let's talk about the next opponent for Inoue in the ring. Is Nakatani the one that makes sense after the Sam Goodman fight, obviously? Is that the next one that makes sense there?
No, probably not. They're probably going to let that marinate a little bit more. You know, Bob Arum laid out what he thought was a good plan, which I agree with. You know, you got the Sam Goodman fight. Obviously, he's got to get past Goodman. He's got to deal with him. He's a very capable guy. He boxes well, and he's hungry. But after that, Bob had mentioned having Inoue and Nakatani fight on the same card in Vegas, making another U.S. Appearance for Inoue, which I think was a good idea to introduce everyone to the fan base and set up that fight, kind of like they did back in the day, where you would have two guys fighting on the same card or near each other, and they would be already talking about that next fight. And then looking to do the Nakatani-Inoue fight, the Inoue-Nakatani fight in the fall or even late next year. I think it needs a little bit more marination, especially with the fans on the West. And also with this new partnership, I think it's gonna spread like wildfire. The fact that these guys are starting to orbit each other, and it's a great fight, great matchup, both from a stylistic standpoint and also just from what's historically what these guys, having two Japanese fighters that are as good as they are, in a way being pretty much walking around as a living legend at this point. But I don't think that's particularly that fight's going to be next. Not really sure who is on the docket after Goodman if he has to get that win, which I would favor him.
Yeah, Paulie, I'm doing a little fantasy boxing here, so forgive me here. I mentioned Nakatani next for Inoue. Who do you see fighting him next?
Yeah, I don't know. If he makes his move to 126, first let's see how he looks against Goodman. I think the way he looks against Goodman is a big factor in where he goes next. You know, everybody just assumes, okay, he's going to do this and you do this. You can't really plan that far ahead in boxing because, first of all, you got to make sure you win, which, of course, Inoue wins all the time, right? So let's say, for argument's sake, he beats Goodman, which he's expected to, even though Goodman is a good fighter in his own right. You still have to see the way he looks. You still got to see what kind of impression he leaves, because that also is a big gauge in going to see how much of a bigger step up it's going to be. And bigger, but I don't just mean weight classes. I also mean, level of intensity, level of skill, level of difficulty. I don't know. I kind of ride with the champion, Chris. I could see Nakatani probably being marinated a little bit longer. Tim, what do you think, man?
Boo, man. Yeah, what y'all want to marinate a fight for?
I'm not letting it marinate. I'm just saying I'm just predicting
I'm not saying what I want. I'm not saying what I want.
Hey,
I'm saying what's going to happen.
Marinating fights, man. Get in there and just fight. That's
the
fight
I agree.
Everybody want to see at the end of the day.
But he asked me my prediction. I didn't say he asked me what I wanted. He asked me what my prediction was.
Look. Let me just go back to that Riyadh season one more time. Inoue is not fighting in Saudi Arabia. I just want to let everybody know that he's going to be fighting in Japan. That's where the money is for him. He makes a ton of money there. So he's
what's he gonna do? Just wear Riyadh season shirts in Japan, and that's it. That's the deal.
He's an ambassador. Hey, you want to pay me to wear your brand? You want to pay me crazy money? Hey, I'll wear your brand. Hey, Turkey, you want me to pay me? I'll wear your brand too. Turkey, you know that.
We don't fight anymore, Tim. We don't have that importance.
He's an ambassador. That's it at the end of the day. All right, now as far as this Nakatani fight, that's the fight that we want to see. I mean, Nakatani's moving up from 118. You know, he did the same thing similar to what Inoue has done. He didn't become undisputed, no, but he just came up these weight classes and he beat the best guy in the weight class. Now 122, he goes to 122. He does his thing there. 126, I know we're talking about 126 pounds, but man, I mean, come on, man. I don't know. Nakatani is the guy that everybody wants to see this man face. And like I told you, I think this is the only guy that can compete with Inoue in the 120s. I really do. I think this is the right guy for him. Tall, long, rangy, crafty, can punch with either hand, can counterpunch very effectively. I didn't like he got hit a whole hell of a lot in his last fight. However, that guy he fought was tough. But if he gets hit with those shots from Inoue, his lights can be turned out at the end of the day. But Nakatani, let's have the fight next, man. If he gets past Goodman, do the Nakatani fight. There's no time to marinate it. There's no need for that. It's going to be the biggest fight possibly in Japan history.
Yeah, it certainly would be exciting, Nakatani versus Inoue in 2025. And, of course, as you all mentioned, if he gets past Sam Goodman in December, certainly it's going to be fascinating. And maybe this deal pushes Inoue to become more of a global superstar, or at least raise his profile more so in the world of boxing to fight fans across the world. And, of course, we can have more on this story as it develops here on Top Stories. Quick reminder to scan the QR code, like, subscribe, and leave a comment on our YouTube channel. Download the ProBox TV app where apps are available. We just finished the Belfast card, and we're already getting into it. November 9th in Kissimmee, Florida, should be a great and fascinating fight card with Nicholas Floss taking on Christian Gomez as the main event. You can see it on our YouTube channel and on the app as well. November 9th, ProBox TV continues with the best live fight series in all of boxing. I am George D. Metellus, and this is Boxing Scene's Top Stories.
ProBox TV Contender Series. Nicholas Floss steps into the ring against Christian Gomez. And don't miss former world champion Jojo Diaz as he returns to the ring in search of glory.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.